can start it as fast as possible. All right. So let me ask. One of the student requested it to start again. Content points writing is the first question. It's a question number one. It's a question number one of your O-level English paper two, and paper two is reading. In the reading, there are two passages. First passage is non-fiction. The second passage is mostly fiction. And in the first passage, this question comes. In the first passage of your paper 2 reading, paper 2, the first question is, after the passage there's first question which asks you to write 12 content points at least, but it is advisable to write more than 10 questions, more than 12 content points, so that you can get better marks. You can at least get 12 marks. If let's suppose you write 12 content points, and out of those 12, if one or two are incorrect, then you will be given 8, 9, 11 marks. It means 1 point for one content point. But if you write 16, 17, 18 content points, and out of those 16, 17 or 18, if 12 are correct, you will be given 12 marks. So this is the plus point. The examiner does not deduct the negative marking, or does not deduct the marks for the wrong answer if there are 12 correct answer. The examiner is concerned with only the 12 correct answer. If you have written 12 correct content points, he will give you 12 marks. But out of 16, let's suppose 3 are incorrect, 4 are incorrect, you will not be you will not be negative marked. There is no negative marking. There is only the marking for the 12 correct content points. That's it. Now let's note down the tips for writing the content points. Tip number one says, do not write your own words. Okay, when you're writing the content points, when you're searching the content points from the passage, please do not write your own words. Whatever the content point you find in the passage, let's suppose you're finding out the content point, you found the first content point in passage in paragraph number 1, line number 6. Now write the same content point into the content point answer sheet. Do not write in your own words. You cannot change, you cannot paraphrase the words when you're writing the content points. Tip number 2 says, write your points bullet wise in a proper sequence. There should be a proper sequence. The first content points first, second content point second, third content points on the third sequence, and you have to put this bullet just like this bullet. There will not be any bullet in the answer sheet. In the answer sheet, only lines will be given for you to write the content points. You have to put this. This will basically separate each content point from one another, so that the examiner can easily identify that which content point which is the content point, and which is the second content point, which is the third content point. Now, the tip number 3 says, do not write a long sentence as a content point, rather chop it out into a small point. Okay, let's suppose if you're finding out the content point, you have found the first content point in line number 6 of paragraph number 1. Now you saw that the content point is very long, 1.5 line or maybe 2 line, but that is genuinely your content point. Now this is your ability. How will you make that 2 lines short into a one small line? This ability no one will be teaching you. This ability you have to build into yourself. You have to build this ability yourself, that if you find a long sentence, you have to use your ability and you have to make that long sentence short. Yes, you can alter the sentence. You can write the subject, you can just omit the helping verb, and then you can pick some other part of the sentence, and then you can make one new sentence. But whenever you are just making the sentence shorter, you have to pick the words from the passage, from that content point, which is of 2 lines. From the same 2 lines, you have to pick some very, very important words which are necessary to be added into the content point, and those which are irrelevant, leave them and make a new small sentence, right? But when you're making a small sentence, do not use your own words. Try to use all the words given into that line. Yes, you can alter. That's only allowed. The tip number 4 says, examples and elaborators given in the passage can't be the content point. Okay, now what are the examples and what are the elaborators? The examples in the passage, when you see I dot e. When you see, for example, when you see, for instance, these kind of words and then some examples related to the passage. If somebody is explaining some passage and in the explanation, if the writer or if the examiner is giving you some examples so that it can be clear, if he's explaining something to make that explanation better or clear, if the examiner is giving you some examples, if the examiner is giving you some examples, so keep in your mind those examples cannot be your content points. They cannot be content points. And if there is some extra information about the passage, some extra information that is called that extra information is called elaborators. They can never be the content point as well. For example, if the examiner is giving some examples to make the passage clear, it means these examples must be related to the passage. But sometimes you will find some information which is not very much related to the passage. That is some extra information about the passage that is called elaborators. And the elaborators and the examples can never be the content points. So when you see, for example, for instance, these kind of words, understand this is examples and this cannot be content points. And then there is extra information which has nothing to do with the question of your content point. For example, if your examiner has given the question, find out and write the advantages of internet in the past and the advantages of internet in the present. And now if you're finding the advantages of internet in the past, and if you find a line which has nothing to do with the internet, which has nothing to do with the internet, which is that something else, I mean some extra information about internet or about the people those you used to live in the past, so that can be either examples or elaborators. They can never be the content points. The tip number 5 says a topic sentence can't be written or taken as a content point. You all of you must remember what is a topic sentence. Mostly the first line of every paragraph, the first line of every paragraph is a topic sentence. The first line of every paragraph is mostly a topic sentence because every paragraph discusses something different from the first paragraph. Maybe connected, maybe coherent, but a little different from every paragraph. Let's say in the first paragraph they're discussing about the past usage of the internet. Maybe in the second paragraph they will be talking about how the changes came into the form of internet, and then or maybe in the form of computer laptops. That in the third paragraph, how what ages group are using, I mean which age groups people are using internet and computer. So every paragraph will be discussing about different aspects of basically same topic, that would be internet or advantages of internet. But of course every paragraph will discuss something different from the other. So every paragraph's mostly the first line is the content point, but it is not always the first line. Sometimes the topic sentence is the last line, but mostly the first line of every paragraph is your topic sentence. So remember, the topic sentence can also not be your content point. Tip number 6 says content points can be altered. Altered means that if it is a long sentence and you're trying to make it a shorter, you can use subject, you can use at least one or two words of your own. Mostly you cannot use your own words, but to make such a long sentence into a short, yes, one or two words you can use by your own to alter the long sentence into a short. The alter is very easy term. You can understand that this is a long sentence of two lines. Now you're picking some of the words, you're dropping some of the words, and whatever the words left over, you're trying to give it a shape of a sentence at least. Achha, one more very important thing, when you're taking out the content points, it's not necessary always that it should be a sentence. Sometimes 4, 5 or 6 points only, 5, 6 words which you have chopped out, which was a long sentence, now you made it a shorter, but it does not look a sentence, it looks only a group of 5 or 6 words. They can also be called content points. Content points means points, that you have taken out which are related to the question or which are the answer of the question. That's it. If they are sentence, if they look sentence, good. If a content point does not look a sentence, only points, that is also acceptable. But at least that should be the content points. I mean, whatever the question has been asked. Now let's discuss about tip number 7. The tip number 7 says the keywords main points of the passage are mostly the content points. Acha, in every passage, the very important information, the main information, the main points or main keywords are mostly the content points. See, every passage emphasizes or focuses one main point. Let's suppose whatever the topic sentence is, and then the further information emphasizes on that topic sentence, and whatever the main information from the passage you take out, that is mostly the content points. Mostly the main information, the main key points are the content points of the passage. You will, whenever you will be doing it, you will come to know, yes, this line is the main information in the whole passage. The tip number 8 is it normally requires you to identify and write down causes and effects, advantages and disadvantages, problems and solution, present and past of something, some similar to ideas of any topic. All right. So the passage number 1, in your paper 2, O-level English, in which the question of the content points come, the passage will be discussing either about the causes or effects of something, and that's why you have to take out 6 causes as a content point and 6 effects of the as content points, all together 12. Sometimes the passage will be discussing advantages and disadvantages of something. Then you have, in that case, you have to find out 6 advantages and 6 disadvantages. Sometime the passage will be discussing about the problems and the solution of something, and the examiner will ask you to find out 6 problems and 6 solution. Sometime the passage number 1 of paper 2 reading will be discussing about present of something and past of something. You have to find out and write down six present of something, maybe the usage of something in the present and the usage of something in the past, 6 usages in the present, 6 usages of the past. Sometime, I mean, some similar passage you will find which will be discussing about 2 sides of any topic. Any passage, any of the passage would come which will be discussing about 2 sides of something, 2 sides, past or present, problem, solution, advantages, disadvantages, causes, effects, 2 sides of something. This kind of the passage comes in your paper 2 reading, passage number 1, which is mostly the non-fiction containing the fact and figures. Now moving to the slide number 9. When you subtract topics, and it means subtract mean minus. When you subtract topic sentence and distractors, elaborators, for examples I.E, for instance, etc., whatever is left behind, that can be your content points. Okay, it means, let's suppose one paragraph number 1 is of totally 7 lines, and out of those 7 lines, if you're able to find out that this is the topic sentence, you underline the topic sentence, and you can understand this is distractor, the extra information about something which is irrelevant information, that is mostly distractor, that is trying to distract you. And if you're able to find out or identify this is distractor, this is topic sentence, and this is the elaborators, if you're able to find out these 3 things, topic sentence, distractor, elaborators, then whatever is left behind in that paragraph, whatever is left behind, that must be your content points. So this is another way to find out the content point, that you should be able to find out the topic sentence and distractors and elaborators, and whatever is left behind, that is your content points. Moving to the tip number 10. Always write more than 12 content points, because the examiner will give you the 12 marks for the 12 correct content points, and there is no negative marking. For example, if you write 16 content points and out and 12 out of those 16 are correct or are incorrect, you will still get 12 marks for those 12 correct content points. So this is something that I have earlier explained, that do write more than 12 content points. There is no negative marking. Out of 12, if you have written 16 content points and out of those 16, 2, 3 or 4 are incorrect, no problem. If 12 are correct, you will be given 12 marks. That's it. Best of luck. Thank you very much. This was all about the content points writing. Now I will be giving you one passage, and I hope the passage will clear your all questions.